Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're just going to talk about mental health, and I'm just going to give you a bit of an update on where I'm at with my mental health. As you probably noticed, or maybe you didn't, it's totally cool if you didn't, but I've been away for a little while, and I had a bit of a mental explosion a couple weeks ago. I just want to sit down and talk about it and kind of get this stuff off my chest because I feel like it's just really important for me, and it's really important for me to be real with you guys. That's something I really want to implement on my channel, is being more transparent and just letting you know how it is. I feel like I do a pretty good job of that, but when it comes to more sensitive topics, I don't always talk about them. And I think it's time that I talk about it. First thing I wanted to mention is I actually got glasses, and I feel like I just want to put them on for this video because they make me feel so cool, you know? And they also make me feel like Grandma Mags has fully emerged when I put these on. What do you think? I love them. They're really just for like distance and also to like alleviate pressure. Like if I've been looking at the computer a lot. We shall see how long this actually lasts on this video, because after about 20 minutes I'm usually like, okay, that's enough. But let's keep going. So I'm just gonna tell you straight up, my brain felt like it exploded. And that was a week ago yesterday, so it was like a Friday. It was almost like I couldn't narrow down my focus on one subject. I couldn't make up my mind on what I wanted to do, who I wanted to be, what I wanted to talk about, what I thought was important. Like, it was just like a whole range of things. And finally, I just was like, that's it. I need a break. I can't focus on one thing. And it was kind of starting to really worry me. So what I did is I just took to my notebook here and I just wrote down everything that was on my mind. And it really just helped for me to kind of open up my brain and for me to be able to kind of focus on these issues that I'm having. Some of them I've started to, I guess, work through, but I'm not, you know, they're not solved, I guess that's what you could say. But really, I think a lot of it has to do with just where I'm at in my life, which I'm almost 21 years old. I still don't really know who I am or what I want to do. I definitely know a lot more about myself than I did when I was, you know, even just like a year ago, I feel like. But I still, you know, I'm not at the place where I feel like I can completely relax with where I'm at in my life. Like, I feel like I still have to keep going and, you know, trying things and trying to figure out what the heck is going on. I don't know if anyone else can relate to that, but let me know in the comments if you can. I think a lot of it to do is not just with like my career, you know, like trying to figure out what kind of career I want. It's also just kind of trying to figure out who I am and what works for me. And what I've learned is not everything that works for someone else is gonna work for you, you know? Like, I am someone who has to take things a lot slower and just, you know, not put too much on myself at one time. And I shouldn't feel bad that I am more sensitive to that than maybe other people might be, or other people might be letting on to me. The entire week though, before like my brain exploded, I just felt like I was so all over the place with my emotions. Like, one minute I'd be really sad and I'd be crying, the next minute I'd be really anxious. I'd be happy for a second and then I'd be like really angry, and it was just a lot and I didn't know what was going on. I think what really affected me actually was I started taking this new multivitamin like the weekend before that whole kind of week of emotions happened, and I think that is what kind of just set it off. I think it was building up for a long time, but that kind of made me really feel all over the place and just like I was out of control almost. So I stopped taking that vitamin. I am very sensitive to vitamins, as I've realized recently, and it sucks, but I know it's going to take me a while to find what works for me. So the Monday of that week, I had something that I call like a dark day. And what I really mean by that was I was just like sad and almost like I felt like I was in slow-mo while the rest of the world was buzzing past me. Like, I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. I just wanted to lay down and just almost like withdraw myself a little. I was like, okay, you know what? If that's how you feel you need to be, that's fine. Like, just do it, you know? Like, listen to yourself, listen to your body. That's just how I've started to live my life more recently, that it's okay to not be okay all the time. And then the Tuesday, I was going out for lunch with my dad, and I remember I just felt really angry that morning. And it was just like the smallest things in the world, but I was just like, oh, I'm so mad, and I couldn't figure out if it was just this really small thing or if it was something bigger. What I actually ended up thinking was the trigger for this was that I actually went to my friend Matea's dance show at her high school on Tuesday night. You know, I really wanted to go see Matea dance. My mom really wanted to go, but I really went to go with my mom, you know, like because I, you know, thought she'd be alone there, and I was like, I don't want to send her by herself. But where this show was gonna be was at Matea's high school, which is where I went to high school for the first year and a half of my high school experience, and then after that is when I switched to online schooling. If you didn't know, I did online school from the middle of grade 11 and into grade 12, and I graduated with doing my courses online. So I didn't realize this, but I hadn't been actually inside the walls of that school since the day I left. The day that I handed in my textbooks, I gave my locker up, like the day that I actually walked out of there and felt the weight lift off of me, I guess you could say. So it kind of holds a lot of mixtures of emotions. Like, I definitely still have good memories, but at the same time I also have a lot of bad memories and a lot of experiences I don't want to hang on to, I guess you could say. So that was what I really thought, this is it. This is what's causing me to feel this way. So I did that, you know, I went to the show, it was a great show, and I felt a little bit better after I left. I was like, you know, I'm not fully healed from this experience yet, but I feel like I'm on the right path, which was great. But I thought, you know what, I'm done this now, I'm gonna feel normal tomorrow, and I didn't feel normal the next day. I don't even remember how I felt the next day, but I just remember thinking like, there's so much on my mind. I remember I was trying to think about filming a video and I just couldn't focus and I couldn't get to an idea and I couldn't get the inspiration going, and it was just so frustrating for me. It's really frustrating for me when I don't feel inspired. Thursday as well, I kind of felt that way too. I'm trying to remember if there's anything specific that happened on those days. I guess I just wanted to be alone. Like, I just felt like I didn't want to deal with the world, I guess you could say. So Friday, when all this kind of started to explode, I just realized, for me in particular, how much time I've been spending on Instagram. And I know that's like a random thing to talk about, but every moment that I get, I open up Instagram. It was like a reflex to me. Like, I kept it on my little bar at the bottom of my phone, like my most used apps, like that's where it was. And I almost felt like I couldn't keep up with it. Like, there's always something new, and I really didn't want to miss any posts. And it was just really almost overwhelming for me, because I was like, I'm gonna miss so much if I stop looking at it, but like, I don't know how much more information of this, or like from this platform, I can take in right now. The battery is flashing at me on my camera, so I'm gonna change that. I'll be right back. And we're back. I honestly was like, I am getting all this information from different things on Instagram that I don't even really care about. A lot of the time, I don't need to know what's happening in all these people's lives at once, you know? Like, I felt like I just was like, you know what? No, I need a break. So I went on my Instagram story and I was like, I'm gonna take the weekend off. I'm not gonna go on Instagram at all, and we're gonna see how that goes. Honestly, y'all, that was such a good decision for me to make, especially in that moment. I realized how much free time I had without going on Instagram. I realized how much time I had to enjoy the world around me more. I actually like enjoyed reading books, you know? I've started to do that ever since I kind of had more time at home. I really realized how much I love books, and that kind of escalated for me over those like couple of days. I also actually got to watch YouTube videos, which I haven't done in such a long time, because I would always just get the new ones in the subscription box and put them in my watch later and be like, I'm gonna do that later, no worries, like I'll catch up soon, but like not right now. And I was like, hey, I can actually sit down and watch a makeup video, or I can sit down and just catch up with my favorite YouTube people, and it felt so good, like just so good. I almost like didn't want to go back full time. Like, I just wanted to open it up really quick, close out, and be done. So I think what I'm gonna do with Instagram is definitely limit my time on there, which really just means that go on when I want to post a photo or I want to post something on my story, and check out a couple of things, but don't feel pressure to see everything on the feed, you know? And so I've started just like putting post notifications for people who are really important to me, or people who I really want to see photos from. If I see that they've posted something, I can decide if I want to go check it or not, kind of thing. So that's what I've done with Instagram, and I just feel so much more light and happy. I don't even know what to say, but I just feel way better with that. That also ties to the idea that I was just being filled with too much information. Like, there's so much information in the world, and we're so saturated with so much, you know, like things to learn, so many people to follow, keep in touch with, so many things to watch and see and observe or whatever, you know, that's all the same thing, but you get my drift, right? And I was actually talking to my Aunt Barb about this on the phone, and she was like, I think that you just felt overwhelmed, and that you just felt like almost like just too much information for one person's brain. I was like, seriously though, that's it. So part of that as well is figuring out what I actually enjoy might not be what everyone else enjoys, or what someone else enjoys might not be what I enjoy, and you know, and that's fine. But just kind of being able to figure out what I want out of something is really important. And that doesn't mean you have to listen to every podcast that pops up. It doesn't mean you have to watch every YouTube video in your subscription box. It doesn't mean you have to like every photo on Instagram that isn't your feed. It doesn't mean any of this. You just have to do what's good for you. And I was like, wow. Light bulb freaking moment, man. It was like a lightning bolt hit me, and I was like, yes. I do want to go through a couple of things I wrote down on the list. This stuff is a bit more personal, but I think it's important to talk to you about. Something that I did put down on here is feeling guilty about being who I am. That comment really bothers me, that I felt that I had to write that. Like that was something that was on my mind so much. And I think it relates to everything, but a lot of the time it relates to what I eat, how I exercise, how I dress, how I do my makeup, how I like my appearance to be. And I feel like I was kind of worried that everybody around me, even people who care about me and I care about them, would be offended by how I do this. I don't know why, but again, it all relates back to the whole thing of finding out what works for you and just going with that. And I'm still trying to figure that out, you know, especially with the vitamin thing. That's a prime example, right? Kind of relates to my dad in a way. He's really into health at the moment, which is great. That's awesome. But, you know, what he does isn't gonna be the best thing for me. Like, certain things he does I might like to do myself, but there's no way that I would be happy doing everything that he does, which is totally a personal thing. And I'm not saying my dad's way of life is a bad way or anything, but it's just, it can be really overwhelming for me to look at everything he does and be like, I don't do that. But at the same time, I know that I wouldn't be happy doing that. Do you feel what I'm saying here? So, Dad, if you're watching this, we already had this big chat. We actually had a big laugh about this. I was telling him, I'm like, Dad, there's certain things you talk about that I just don't need to know. Like, I don't need to know about the waves coming off of my phone. Like, I don't need to know about that kind of stuff. And he was like, okay, I'm gonna start limiting what I tell you. Because it's too much information. Like, I'm at a point in my life where I'm still trying to figure out who the heck I am. So having all this other information, like, being thrown at me and I'm trying to hang on to it, it's too much. It's way too much. Also, my skin was really breaking out last week. I don't think it was product or food-wise. I think it was just my emotions and my stress, to be honest with you. I didn't have a lot of acne as a teenager, but what I experienced in the last week and a half, I guess I understand how that can really mess with your mind, because I felt so ugly and I felt so ashamed of my skin and about myself. Feeling that way at my age is one thing, but feeling that way as a teenager, I cannot believe that some people go through that, and that's crazy. Like, that would be so intense. So if you're going through that right now, just know that I understand. And I probably didn't even have it near as bad as a lot of people do, but I get it from what I experienced. So, whew. Okay, now kind of moving on to like career life things too. A lot of what I was experiencing as well was just me feeling like I just was doing so much and I wasn't quite getting where I want to be. And everyone's like, keep up the hustle, keep up the hustle. I think it's important for me to know when to keep hustling and when to take a break, you know, and that's gonna be different for everybody. But I guess the idea of like, just work, 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 do what you love, you know, if you work towards something that you want, the idea that you're gonna think about it already being there for you and ready, there's a much better chance of you actually getting there, right? And for me, that's kind of what I'm going through right now, because, you know, I'm taking a course, I am doing my YouTube videos and my Instagram and stuff, and I'm just trying to get the momentum going so that maybe it can be something I can do in the future too. But I'm not gonna know that until I work my butt off, basically, and see if I can get there. You have to be in a certain mindset to be able to handle that, because I was just not in a good mindset during that period of time, and I just kept thinking like, I'm not getting anywhere, I'm not doing anything, what's wrong with me? Like, I'm really trying, but nothing's happening really. I just felt drained. That's really the word. I felt drained. And I think it's important for me to know when to take a break and when to actually keep going and going and going. You know what I mean? Like, to know when I hit my limit. And I definitely am getting better at that, but I think that's something else I gotta, you know, work on, because although working can get you really far in life, it's also important to enjoy the moments you have right now, to enjoy, you know, being happy right now, and to not just fill your life with work because it's there and it fills the time, you know. Like, it's important to have other moments too. I guess that's really what I mean. I think something else that kind of relates to that too is a little bit feeling like I'm kind of stuck in a bit of a time warp. And it's really because I've lived in this house all my life, never lived on my own. I'm not ready to live on my own. I'm just not there yet. I think everybody has their time when they get there, but I'm just not there yet. So I think part of what I was kind of realizing too is a lot of the things in this house are reflections of who I was when I was younger, which is great. But I guess what I'm trying to say is what I liked when I was younger might not be what I like now. And I think that really only applies to my bedroom in particular, because my bedroom's decorated the same way it's always been decorated, you know, with changes to like, oh, adding some fairy lights here. That's really all I've done. And like adding a new comforter on my bed. And that's really it, you know? So I finally told myself, I was like, Maggie, it's time for you to redo that room. You know, get rid of things you no longer use, you don't like anymore, clean out some stuff, and figure out what you want. Like, redesign and figure out what you want. So that's what I'm gonna do for my room and my bathroom. I'm not gonna like do any kind of demolition or whatever, but I'm still like just getting a couple of new pieces of furniture and just kind of moving things around, and just that really I feel like can be very therapeutic to me. I cleaned out one drawer of like greeting cards and photos and stuff yesterday, and that was so good for my soul. Kind of letting go of those, I guess you could say, like the ghosts of my past, right? Like, you know, like my past life. I don't regret that part of my life, but it's like, I'm not a kid anymore. Like, I gotta let go of certain things. I always told myself, like, don't do that now. Like, when you move out, it's like you're gonna be wasting money. Like, whenever you move out, you're gonna regret it because you spent money redoing it or whatever. And finally I was like, no, just do it, redo it, because you never know. I mean, when I move out, I might be coming back, you know, and I don't think it's a bad thing to leave your room in a nice way that you could come back to in the future. Do you feel what I'm saying here? Like, I guess live in the moment and do what you want to do in the moment, and for me, that's just redoing things in my room. So yeah. So now I want to read a little quote from the Estee Lauder Bloom book. I read this book last summer with my friend Dana, and it was honestly such an awakening for me. I don't know how else to describe it, but reading this book really opened my mind up to new possibilities in my life. I know that sounds so cheesy, but that's really what happened. So when I was kind of dealing with my mental stuff, even the last couple of days, I read her kind of chapters talking about her life and things that she experienced, and this book is just so good. And I feel like I need to do a whole video about this book and like what I got out of it. And I kind of want to read it again fully. And there's a quote in here that I feel like could really be applied to my situation, maybe even someone else's situation. So this is on page 115. It's called the Feeling Good section. So it says, the relationship you have with yourself is the longest relationship you'll ever have. We have to work on this relationship just like we need to work on other relationships we have in our lives. Some days will be easier than others, but just know that you are beautiful. I was like, oh, I love this book so much. Like, if you are a fan of Estee, you need to read this book. I realized recently that it had been a year to the exact day on the 8th of June that I met Estee. And I just feel like, I actually commented on one of her videos. I said, it's been a year since I met you, and I feel like we've both changed and grown in so many ways. I'm just really proud of the two of us, basically. And that was just such an amazing moment for me. And then reading her book after that too, I don't know, I just feel like a connection to Estee. I know that sounds like really creepy and weird, but in a really good way, you know? And I just I feel like we're very similar. I guess that's really what I mean in certain ways, you know? So yeah, but if you haven't read this book and you love Estee, I mean, what are you waiting for? It is so, so good. So now we're gonna get into like fun life updates, not so much emotional, but just like fun things going on with me, I guess. So I am actually going on a trip to New York and I'm gonna be there for my 21st birthday, which I'm really excited about. I just was thinking about it today and I'm like, most people my age who turn 21 go to Vegas and with their friends and they have like a crazy time. In my case, I am going to New York with my parents for my 21st birthday and will probably not be drinking because I don't drink. Such an old lady. I'm such an old lady. But I'm really excited. I'm really hoping I get to go see Glossier. Like, I really want to go to Glossier. It's like, you know, a millennial here. And if you have any recommendations, I would love to know. You're gonna go see a couple of Broadway shows and of course, we're gonna go to Junior's and John's Pizzeria and Lingerie, and I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it. I realize it's been like 3 years since I was last there, and that was for my 18th birthday, and I just feel like I've changed so much since then. I remember I was there with Dana, and it was so much fun, and it was a great, great trip. But it's kind of funny to look back and be like, wow, I'm such a different part of my life than I was then, but also certain things are the same, you know, but I'm really, really excited about that. Oh, and I really want to go to Hugh Jackman's coffee shop called Laughing Man Coffee. I am like, if Hugh Jackman has a coffee shop, you bet your butt I'm gonna be in there singing The Greatest Showman. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyway, so I also want to tell you about a couple things that I've been watching and listening to. I started watching The 100. I am honestly addicted. It's one of those things that show, I love it so much, but I'm also really mortified by it at the same time. Like, if you've watched it, you probably know what I'm talking about because it covers things that I'm like, is this the future? I'm assuming no, but you know what I mean? If you are not a fan of fighting and blood and stuff, maybe just skip that show altogether, but I just felt like watching something like survival based for some reason. I don't even know why. It's like a mixture of The Hunger Games and Lost. I'm on season 2 already. I know, ridiculous, but I'm there. I'm there and I'm in. I'm into that show. As for listening, within the last like 4 days, I discovered Leon Bridges and my life is forever changed. I don't know how I didn't know who he was. I definitely had heard a couple of his songs like randomly on Spotify, but his song called Beyond is just like all the goals in one song. So if you're somebody who's like a hopeless romantic like I am, listen to that song. I don't have my phone here, but it is really good. And I just love how he's such like an old school, like kind of jazz blues a little. Like yesterday when I was cleaning out that drawer, I just had his music on in the background and I just felt like I was going through all the good emotions and I just felt so zen and it was just really, really good. So that is like another favorite of mine recently. I'm also thinking about doing some decluttering videos. I told my friend Dana, I was like, would you actually watch this or is this like a dumb idea? And she's like, no, those are the only makeup videos I still watch on YouTube. And I was like, really? I'm thinking of doing decluttering for my skincare and makeup. Makeup in particular, I feel like I could just use a little refresh. There are some things in my collection I haven't touched in such a long time. I also have a couple other ideas for this channel. I really want to do a menstrual cycle series. Like, I feel like we just need that on this channel. We need this on YouTube. Very heavily inspired by Let There Be Loose podcast. I just feel like there's so many things I need to talk about with you guys, and I feel like there's so many things that are just not talked about enough, and if my platform can kind of like help, you know, spread the word about that kind of stuff, I just feel like that would be great. So I'm trying to come up with a name for it. I was gonna be like Menstruation with Maggie, but that's just not where I'm wanting to go right now, you know what I'm saying? So that's something I want to do. I also really want to start doing videos talking about like my favorite badass women and maybe doing like makeup looks inspired by them. Definitely do on Zendaya, love that woman. So yeah, there's lots of things going on in my brain right now. Really happy I got to make this video because I just feel like I got to get so much off of my chest. I am gonna leave you here. Thank you so much for watching this video. I have no idea when it's going on YouTube, but whenever it does, hey, there I am. I'm really gonna still try and do Sundays and Wednesdays, but I think I'm gonna kind of make it a little bit looser as well because, you know, I think that could also be partly why I'm a little stressed these days, is trying to like get my inspiration flowing for certain days of the week isn't exactly the most possible thing in the world. So it might be more like loosey-goosey video upload wise, but I definitely still want to at least do 2 videos a week. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video. Let me know what kind of other videos you want to see in the comments as well. I could always use some good recommendations. So yeah, okay, thanks, bye.